is a request for a motion to allow the Board of County Commissioners to review and discuss the proposed oil and gas ordinance as brought forth by the Planning and Zoning Commissioner Dan Stoddard. Also is a request for a motion to publish and post the proposed oil and gas ordinance as brought forth by Planning and Zoning. Tonight I'm going to forego the second request. The first request, though, I want to cover, and I have a statement that I would like to read, but I would like to ask any of my fellow commissioners if they have anything they want to add in terms of discussion or review of the Planning and Zoning meeting that was just Tuesday night.
I have a question for you.
Okay, question?
For you.
Okay.
What did you say you're gonna do in the second half of this?
So on the second half, we're just going to forego that part of the agenda. So the motion to publish, exactly. What we're going to do is discuss and review, particularly the meeting from Tuesday night, if that's okay. Gentlemen?
Sure.
Okay. So on Tuesday evening, earlier this week, and we do have some folks that want to make public comment. And you know what? I think I want to allow public comment first. So let's, Mr. Fisher, you already spoke. Thank you very much. Mr. Randy Erickson.
Chairman Chapman, Commissioners, Randy Erickson, I live in Placitas, and I want to welcome new Commissioner. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to welcome the new Commissioner, fellow Placitan. Tonight I handed out a DVD of the film called The Split Estate to each of you, except for you, Commissioner Holden Woods. I will get you a copy of it. That movie details some of the horror stories that can happen in the oil and gas and particularly fracking arena. Specifically, the movie details about the western slope of Colorado and northern New Mexico, and there are actual people in there that were affected. I urge you to watch it with your family, watch it with your friends, your children, your grandchildren. When I saw it, it moved me, and it's indicative of the gravity of the task that's ahead, that's in front of you, and also in front of the P&Z Commission has been delegated by you. Also want to, I also delivered that, or we delivered that DVD to each of the P&Z commissioners and to Director Springfield. What's the rush, I guess, is what I need to say to you guys. As you will actually be discussing a document, a 5-hour meeting happened on Tuesday night, and a lot of good work got done. A lot was heard from some representatives of the oil and gas industry, and as I understand it, next Tuesday meeting with the P&Z Commission will be some public input, including the team of people that I've been working so closely with. We've put in hundreds of hours researching some of the issues that need to be in a good ordinance, and we'll be hopefully able to present those and give some supporting arguments for them. My question to you is what is the rush? These guys on P&Z have hit their stride. They're doing some good work. So let's just let them present a quality document to them when they're done. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Erickson. Up next, Mike Meese.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Thank you for letting me speak again. And I'm glad that we finally have a commissioner for District 1. Welcome. You'll be hearing from us, I'm sure. I've already told you that I am a general contractor. I work in the construction industries and have for most of my life. But in 1979, I was an employee of United Nuclear Corporation, working construction at their Church Rock plant, at their Church Rock mill, where they made yellow cake. And in that year, while I worked for that company, their tailings dam broke, spilling 100 million gallons of radioactive waste that had previously been known as water. That accident also released more radioactivity than 3 Mile Island, and is considered the largest release of radioactivity in U.S. history. I have seen firsthand what a bad actor can do to the land, the water, the people, and the people's future. That cleanup can never be completed properly. And when we're talking about oil and gas, especially in the Albuquerque Basin, water to 800,000, somewhere between 700,000 and 800,000 people, we're talking about the potential for similar environmental disaster. And we must do our work properly. That's all I have to say on that matter, for this time. But I'd also just briefly like to talk about the agenda item that we're discussing now, number 8. We're going to be, it says the request for a motion to allow the Board of County Commissioners to review and discuss the proposed oil and gas ordinance as brought forth by Planning and Zoning Commissioner Dan Stoddard. Well, first of all, as far as I know, the only ordinance that Mr. Stoddard has brought forward is the Stoddard 1, for lack of a better name, the Stoddard 1 ordinance. We're already on Stoddard 3, and you're going to be talking about Stoddard 3 tonight. So Stoddard 3 did not even exist when this agenda was made out more than 72 hours ago. That document only came into existence about 48 hours ago, and was only posted today on the website. So I think that it's the optics. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hayes. Up next, Miguel Suazo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the Commission. Welcome to the Commission, Commissioner Rhodes. I'll be brief tonight. I was at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting earlier this week, and I think I'd like to echo some of the sentiments that you've heard already, that there was substantial progress made, and I think that this ordinance is something very close to one that the county should feel very good about. You know, I keep hearing, what's the rush? You know, we're 20 months into this process, 21 months coming up on that. And so from our standpoint, and I am representing Trust Energy here tonight, you know, I think that we've taken the concerns of you all and of the folks in the community very seriously. We've presented facts in the face of fear. And I think those facts yield that yes, there are concerns, and you're right to take those concerns very seriously to protect the community, but there are measures that are taken and are taken to keep the community safe, to keep the aquifers safe, to keep staff safe, and the public at large safe. And so, you know, it's from what I'm hearing, we're taking isolated instances that folks are finding and saying, oh, well, this happened, so therefore don't let this happen. You know, it's kind of like saying, well, you shouldn't drive because you heard of a car accident somewhere. The oil and gas industry takes measures and gets better every year at making sure that their operations are done as safely as possible. It's only going to get better. Can accidents happen? Sure, but we'll take every precaution that we can take to make sure that it's done effectively and well, and will provide jobs and economic development that Sandoval County desperately needs. So I think that everybody should be able to feel good that the concerns have been addressed, and the ordinance that has been put forth by Commissioner Stoddard is one that really only needs minor tweaking, really not even substantive changes. in order for this commission to make a decision so that we can all move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suazo. Up next is Mr. Friedman, Alan Friedman.
Good evening, Chairman Chapman and Commissioners. My name is Alan Friedman. I'm from Placitas. You've probably seen me more than you want to. A year ago, there were public meetings on oil and gas, and the industry and the public voiced their concerns. But only recently has a draft oil and gas ordinance started moving through the Planning and Zoning Commission. Last Tuesday at the Planning and Zoning Workshop, the oil and gas industry had a chance to express their concerns with the draft. Next Tuesday at the Planning and Zoning meeting, citizens' concerns will be melded into the document and those will be presented. The process of getting an ordinance that meets the industry and public concerns is moving forward. It is deliberate, but it shouldn't be rushed. We, the citizens, Planning and Zoning Commission, the industry, all want to get it right. So should you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Friedman.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, and congratulations to my fellow Placitan, Dr. Holden Rhodes. I just want to make some comments, and I know that I've got a 3-minute and I could do more, but as I've said previously to the Commission, I do work, mergers and acquisitions work in the oil and gas industry. I know the industry, I know the players, I know the technology, and I know the accidents that happen that can never ever be pinned on the oil and gas companies. And I've gotten some heat already for comments I've made about Sand Ridge a year or so ago. But when it comes to our aquifer, I have to opt on the side of our aquifer, because if anything happens to contaminate our aquifer, what do we really have? What do we really have? 800,000 people depend upon it, and there's nothing but a concrete casing between the nasty cocktail frac fluid that has enormous pressures going into the ground below the aquifer and into rupturing the shale and the pressure of the oil coming out. We're in an oil and gas state. I'm pro oil and gas, but not through an aquifer. There are horror stories that just never ever get tracked down to the people who cause it, unfortunately. Right now that's happening in Pennsylvania, in the Marcellus Shale. So if there's anything that can be done in the content of this document, I just urge that drilling can occur in Sandoval County. It does occur, it should occur, but not through an aquifer that 800,000 people depend upon. It's just too much risk. It's just not worth it. The energy is of great value to the state, but our water is even more important. So I just urge you to keep working and keep the P&Z folks working on this document. It's very, very important to get it as right as we can. It's not a matter of a rush. It's a matter of getting it right as we can. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm here on behalf of Bob Wesley, who can't leave us home because of an illness that he has. He asked me to read a statement on his behalf, which I'm happy to do. He says, since I'm not yet medically up to attending in person, I want to thank you for allowing Connie Falk to read this comment for me. Some of you have been wondering why our citizens are even worried about aquifer pollution by oil and gas. After all, industry experts have reported there has been no groundwater contamination from oil and gas in New Mexico. That would be a pretty compelling track record, suggesting we need not worry. I am afraid I must respectfully disagree with those experts. Their report appears to me to be erroneous. Let me give you 2 reasons. Number 1, leaks. Various national studies have told us that somewhere between 5 and 10% of oil and gas well leaks That's 50 to 100 for every 1,000. Since the state's Oil and Conservation Division, the OCD, has no requirement for monitoring wells to measure contamination, nor does OCD conduct its own search for contamination, no one knows how many of those leaks have penetrated aquifers. Reason number 2, spills. The OCD website posts a 30-column spreadsheet that lists 23,592 self-reported spills in New Mexico dating back to about 1980. Of those spills, 787 indicate yes in the groundwater impact column, including 21 spills within the last 5 years. The fact is that leaks and spills are frequent enough that they deserve all of our attention. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, groundwater contamination in New Mexico from oil and gas is a real risk. And when parts of your county are sitting over aquifers that supply fresh water to 700,000 people, it is an extraordinary risk. You should be doing everything in your power to mitigate that risk. Thank you, Bob Wesley. And I live in Placitas, so I'm a Placitas resident. And I recently moved here from Sandoval County, so I'm accustomed to living in an oil and gas environment. And I think we need to tread really carefully and take a lot of input from people who have worked in the industry, but also who have worked to preserve the environment and to safeguard our health. And I hope that you give equal time to both sides of that issue. Thank you.
Open for discussion, Commissioners, in regards to the work that the P&Z Commission has done, any comments, any, Commissioner Hyatt?
Sure. You would think I didn't have anything else to do with my life, but I watched the P&Z meeting the other evening, and I've got to compliment them on a lot of discussion about details and a lot of progress they made and how late they worked to try and make some progress.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hyatt. Commissioner Golden Rhodes.
Several thoughts. I had the opportunity to follow the P&Z meeting workshop on Tuesday evening, and kudos for the work that went into that. Karen and I have just discovered that our well, which is down at 241 feet, is probably going to have to be replaced in the spring. My point here is that water is a very, very precious commodity. For those of us that live in Placitas, the strata is such that you can be down a very short distance or a very deep distance, and gallons per minute are questionable. I was trained as a historian, and I tried to do some homework for tonight. And I went and looked at the proceedings from the National Academy of Sciences on oil and gas well integrity. We have a very finite amount of water, and I think we're out of water as a county. We don't get any more. What we got is what we get. Is that not the case? That we're not able to tap in to the Rio Grande? Yes?
I think the Rio Grande is your aquifer.
Okay.
That's not true.
No.
Not true.
That's not true. In looking at the ordinance, and let me say right up front, let me be very clear, very specific. I favor the ordinance. I'm very much in favor of oil and gas. But I also want to see something on the end of this that typically lawmaking bodies don't do, and that is implementation. Let me be very specific. If you take a look, I was looking at the Pennsylvania fields and some other areas, the wells were not checked on for integrity after their use began. Overall in this country, if these figures are being believed, approximately 6.2 of all wells leak. It's not because they're shoddy, it's just because the nature of the beast. So, let me be very specific. What I would like to see on this ordinance is a provision for monitoring by a third party paid for by the driller, and that the implementation of the monitoring be on a quarterly basis. We simply cannot afford to mess with the water supply and the aquifer in this country.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Holden Rhodes. Any other comments or discussion? No? Okay, then I have a statement that I want to make. I too stayed up and watched the P&Z meeting Tuesday night. And as you're aware, the work product is centered around this draft ordinance that's been brought forth by Commissioner Dan Stoddard over a month ago. You'll also recall that this commission was provided a copy of that original draft 2 meetings ago. A couple of observations I'd like to make in regards to the meeting the other night. First of all, I want to acknowledge and commend publicly the effort put forth by the P&Z Commission Tuesday night in what was truly a focused and determined collaboration. The commissioners worked well into the evening crafting and refining the draft ordinance, which our Ms. Centenius is going to pass out to you now in the form of a hard copy. This ordinance was also posted, as you know, today on the website, county's website. The P&Z Commission worked well past 11 p.m. Tuesday evening in a devoted and passionate display of public service. The input as provided by each P&Z Commissioner, including our Commissioner Heil, Director Springfield, Councilor Smallwood, Assistant P&Z Director Makita Hill, as well as Dr. Daniel Fine, Associate Director of New Mexico Tech Center for Energy Policy, was considered and worked into the draft. Worth noting is the fact that all of the changes to the draft ordinance that you have in your possession were unanimously agreed to by each planning and zoning commissioner. And what once was a 6-page document has grown to a 9-page document now. At the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting this coming Tuesday, Chairman John Arango's agenda has the commission taking up the draft citizens ordinance as provided by Alan Friedman. Their goal will be to review and implement into the current work product whatever items or language from the Friedman draft the commission agrees is worthy, and then finalize the draft ordinance into a document which will then be voted on by the Planning and Zoning Commission for the Board of County Commissioners to consider at our next meeting. For over 1.5 years now, Sandoval County's been working towards a responsible ordinance as it applies to oil and gas operations in our county. That goal is now in sight. So please take the time to review the current work product that the Planning and Zoning Commission has worked so diligently to develop in anticipation that the final document will be forthcoming. In summary, I want to thank each P&Z Commissioner personally. So Commissioner Herrera, Commissioner Trujillo, Commissioner Stoddard, Commissioner Maduena, Commissioner Brown, and Chairman Arango, we appreciate and respect your hard work, and we intend to give full and immediate consideration to your final work product and staff's recommendation. And also, I want to mention the fact that Mr. Friedman's draft ordinance is also posted on the county's website in an effort to be transparent and forthcoming and engaging the public. I think the county commission, and without a doubt, the Planning and Zoning Commission, has engaged fully all of those who would have an interest in this ordinance. No motion to pass, no vote to take, just an open discussion about the work that the P&Z Commission has done in regards to trying to move the ordinance forward. If there aren't any other comments, then we'll move on to agenda item number 9, Director Springfield.
Chairman, this thing is called the Freedman, it's not the Freedman Ordinance. My name was put onto it because Mike Springfield said it has to have somebody's name on it. But this is the work of many citizens, and my name only appears as a marker, that's all.
All right, thank you for that explanation, Ms. Friedman.